I've been getting a ton of questions lately about where to place resource canisters in the biodome. In my last video, I mentioned that building the museum right next to it is still the best option overall. But I know a lot of you haven't unlocked the museum yet, and following that setup can be tricky. So today, I'm breaking down a biodome setup that runs reliably even without the museum, at least for a decent amount of time. Before we go any further, I need to clear up one thing real quick. Last time, I said that 1 planter and 3 harvesters was the standard setup, right? After running more tests, I realized that 1 planter and 2 harvesters are actually enough to keep the system running. That said, if you're aiming for maximum efficiency, the 2 planters plus 3 harvesters setup is clearly better. So why even bother running 2 planters? When you use 2 planters, you'll inevitably get some withered plants showing up. But here's the important part. Harvesters always prioritize healthy plants first, so this doesn't cause any real operational issues. When you compare the 2 setups side by side, the 1 planter plus 2 harvester setup maintains about 19 plants, while the 2 planter plus 3 harvester setup consistently holds around 30. That's almost a 1.5x increase. At that point, there's really no reason not to run the higher efficiency setup. Now, let's talk about where to place your resource canisters. The logic is simple. Just remember these 3 rules. Canister A, planter side. This one stores excess seeds, since planting speed can't keep up. Canister B, first harvester side. This is for natural resources that drop during harvesting. Canister C, second harvester side. This one is dedicated to mega plant seeds, which drop at a low rate. If you're farming plants that don't produce mega variants, you can skip this entirely. So in short, 3 canisters for mega plants, 2 canisters for regular plants. That's all you need. There's also a very specific reason you shouldn't start with 2 planters right away. If a canister runs empty, the planter can sometimes force the canister onto another module slot while trying to plant. And trust me, that's where things start breaking really fast. That's why you need to approach this in stages. Stage 1. Start with 1 planter and 2 harvesters and focus on building up a seed buffer. Stage 2. Once your large resource canister is about half full, switch over to 2 planters and 3 harvesters. Here's the key detail. Split the seeds evenly between the 2 planters. This keeps the canisters locked in place and prevents them from moving around. Of course, the system will still stop once the canisters fill up completely, so you'll need to do a bit of logistics. Set up an auto arm on a tall platform to continuously move resources into an external large canister. If you followed everything exactly and it's still not working, check just 2 things. First, power. Each module consumes 5 units of power, and if you're short even a little, the whole system stalls. Second, the seed transfer bug. If you've got plenty of power, but seeds aren't moving from the harvester to the planter, this is probably why. I used to think a resource pod was the solution, but there's actually an easier fix. Just detach and reattach the resource canister on the planter 2 or 3 times. This fixes it instantly. One last thing to keep in mind. Once the seed canister fills up, the harvesters will eventually stop. So if you're looking for a truly infinite, hands-off setup, the museum is still essential. In the long run, I recommend setting up your logistics like this. Biodome, resource canisters, museum. And if you found a setup that's even more stable than this one, drop it in the comments.